We have breaking news for you out of Dallas. A second healthcare worker now diagnosed with Ebola. The development is ramping up concerns in a region where fears were already escalating. So let's bring in Congressman Sessions. His district includes the hospital where there were cases that started with Mr. Duncan and now 2 nurses. Congressman, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Good morning, Chris.
Nobody likes hearing the news that yet a second person who's trying to save lives now has their own life in jeopardy. But before we hear from the nurses and from the surrounding people who are looking into the hospital, things aren't getting done the right way there, Congressman. What's your take?
Well, my take is, Chris, first of all, it's stunning news this morning as people wake up across America and in Dallas. And we have a sad sense of reality. And the reality is that we really don't understand enough about this Ebola. I heard the CDC gentleman who was on a few minutes ago, and I think he very carefully described some of the complexities of this Ebola virus. The facts of the case are that when this person came to Dallas and to the hospital, this worker actually was probably unprepared to understand exactly the ramifications of this terrible thing. And what we need to do is to isolate people. I am a member of Congress. I have no medical degree, but it was obvious to me from the beginning that based upon what I've heard about this Ebola, that we should have isolated this person and everyone early on, taking them to a different location where it can be actually treated and isolated in a way. If that is Nebraska, then do that. But instead, what has happened over the last 2 weeks, we have seen this administration and CDC downplay its dramatic effects. There are still 13,000 people with visas from Africa, West Africa, expected to come to the United States as we speak over the next few weeks. Yeah. And I don't think we have a handle on this. I don't think we understand enough about its transmission. And I think that we should take stronger action to protect the United States of America. And once again, I am, as a member of Congress, I'm asking people to become understanding about this terrible, terrible thing that is now not just in the United States, but now a second case. We do not have the handle we need yet.
So, Congressman, it's Allison here in New York. You're saying that we should stop all flights, that we should close the borders. Is that the answer, what you're calling on the administration to do?
What I'm calling on the administration to do is we have some 4,000 medical, as I understand it, medical personnel and or military people who some could be positioned at the airport. We should allow U.S. citizens. I am not saying that we should not allow U.S. citizens, even those who may be affected, but we've got to come up with the tools to better identify this, and we've not stopped anything from that perspective. Oh, sure, we have some people that will look at them when they come to the United States. Well, that's how things get transmitted in airplanes and other areas.
Right.
I was talking about realistic ideas and things to do, not things that appear to be disingenuous to another country. This is a big problem, and I don't think people are up to the
But what
task.
are those realistic ideas? I mean, are you saying that we should stop all flights from West Africa? What specifically are you calling for?
Well, commercial flights, sure, certainly. But when we say these things, we have an obligation to American citizens. What I'm saying to you, Allison, is we don't have a handle on how to even look at this for 6 days. And those tests, as you have heard, are really not even available. We don't even have the protective garb down that is necessary to protect the workers.
Right. So Congressman, you're making a couple of different points.
Ourselves?
You keep making a couple of different points. You do have the problem of what's going on in Africa, and that's a debate that's going to be had about what restrictions should be. However, there's zero chance that nobody with Ebola winds up in this country. So now let's get to the specific problem as a side to who did what wrong and what the larger policy issue is. The hospital in your district is not getting it right. We've seen that consistently from the beginning with Mr. Duncan until now with these 2 nurses. They could be doing blood tests. They could be doing other things. There could be a different sense of urgency. What are you going to do to get this hospital more in line with where it needs to be? Because the answer can't be to ship everyone off who gets it to a different hospital. You have a real hospital there. It's a huge medical center. We're showing it on the screen right now. You have to be able to do better. What can you do?
Well, let's suppose that everything Chris, you said is true. You had heard the physician on, who I suppose is an epidemiologist, who talked about the new procedures. They are not even sure how this manifests itself and how things happen. So if you look at Physicians Without Borders, they're an organization that is frontline in Africa today. They hose themselves completely down every single time they have any contact with chlorine. They do things that I do not think are in the procedures that are done today. I couldn't tell you one of the procedures. What I'm saying is it appears that we have different types of circumstances. I think the CDC needs to understand they've got to have the protective garb that works well. And the physician who was on ahead of time said, we don't have those in place. So before we go, once again, saying what somebody is or is not doing right or well, we need to look at what is the standard of care and the procedures. And I don't think that they're as up to date. I think we're learning things today.
Yeah. I mean, Congressman, let me just tell you what the nurses at Texas Presbyterian are saying. They say that Mr. Duncan was left in an open area of the emergency room for hours when he first came in. They say that they did not have proper protective gear, and they faced constantly changing protocols. They say they were given medical tape when they asked to be able to protect their necks that was porous and was able to be vulnerable. They had flimsy garments. So are you confident that this morning the Texas Presbyterian Hospital, where the second case is now being treated, is equipped to deal with this patient, or should he be transferred out of state?
Well, look, I think that's not, first of all, that's not my call. Here's what I would say to you. Texas Presbyterian Hospital is reeling from this, and they understand the gravity of this. At the original time that this happened, I don't think they were prepared from my perspective, from what I hear. I don't know that any hospital is until we actually come where we are today, and the reality is we're now living and dealing with this. And so, look, I'm with you. Am I into this issue? Is the hospital in regular contact with me? Are the physicians from there in regular contact with me? Am I trying to work with them? Yes. Is the CDC doing its doing? Yes. But we're behind the curve.
That's right. But look, one thing you know for sure, Congressman, is that you're aware of the scope of the problem as it stands right now. You know what needs to be done. The protocols and how people stay safe fighting this in places far less sophisticated than the United States are well known. So we know what we can do. The question is, will we get it done? And that's why we're coming to you as one of the leaders who's in charge of making sure policy goes in the right direction. So, Congressman Sessions, thank you for joining us. We know you have a busy day. We'll check back in with you about the situation.
I thank you very much, and thank you for the way you're handling this. This community is rocked, and we're trying to work through this. And your effective use of having professionals on to speak about this is most important. And I encourage you, Chris, to please continue having people who can speak reason and confidence about how we can effectively fight this. And I think my side is the policy, and I'll continue with the CDC and this administration on that.
All right.